This one we used to sing. I'm going to start singing again. Those that remember, sing with me. Yes, Hashem, Ose Shamayim Ba'alem, Ezrimeim Hashem, Ose Shamayim Ba'alem. I lift my eyes to the mountains, from where will my help come? I lift my eyes to the mountains, from where will my help come? My help is from the Lord, Hashem oseh shamayim va'aretz Ezni me'im Hashem oseh shamayim va'aretz. Everyone, gotta wish my brother-in-law. I simmen time of mazal time, yeah, I simmen time of mazal time, yeah, I simmen time of mazal time, yeah, simmen time of mazal time, yeah, I I'll just share really quick that yesterday? No, when was the bris? 2 days ago, Baruch Hashem, my nephew, Yehuda's son, came into the Bris Yisrael, and his name is B'Tzalel David. And B'Tzalel is as if I'm giving the speech at the Seudah now, but it's important. It's something very special. Something very freaky happened. The B'Tzalel, shekol echad yizkeh, sheyelech b'tzel shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu, befrat this boy should walk in the shadow, the shade of the Ribono Shel his whole life. Amen. David, many of you remember this. Many of you remember this because of the name of the Chayal, David Sasson, who you remember that was killed last year. And it struck a chord here, obviously, because one of our boys has the same name. And Yehuda was with him right before at one of the barbecues that Yehuda does. And I think all of us remember that amazing footage of him dancing at that barbecue. And it left such a rishimu on him and his wife and my sister-in-law, and the David is Leilui Nishmat, David Sasson. You remember this bris was supposed to be last week Friday. I was going to miss it because I was away. Well, the day before, on Thursday morning, I was in Toronto for something. I went to go to wash in the station, the washing station in the back of the shul, forgetting that there's no Birkas Kohanim in Galus, but no, that's just a little jab. I went to go wash before. I went to go wash before davening, and right by the washing station, there's this big picture of David Sasson that I remembered that Yehuda was very connected to, so I took a picture of it, forgetting to send it to him last week. And then when we said the name on Wednesday morning, he said, "I was David Sasson." Like it blew me away how mamish there's certain neshamas seep in so deep. And this Chayal Gibor that has a beautiful baby boy in Tkoa named after him. It should bring a lot of nachas ruach to Kadosh Baruch Hu, showing the Ribono Shel how connected we are to each other and how these lives live on forever. He should be zochet to mekabel pnei Mashiach tzidkenu. Bezrat Hashem, with this family in good health for many, many, many more years. Amen. Month of Shvat, we're learning the month of Shvat, Tet Zayin Shvat today. Sponsored by the Silver family, Leilui Nishmas Bas Yefega Bas Yisrael, by the Golds, Leilui Nishmas Tchia Shirel Shimona Bas Sara, and for their Fushtim of Adas Chava Yechel Bas Sara, by the Pollux, Leilui Nishmas Shimon Ben Moshe, Leilui Nishmas Tzvi Ben Mordechai, And Lilui Nishmas, someone very, very dear to our hearts. If you heard Nate say Kelmei Lerachmim yesterday, and that was in memory of his daughter Shira, who we were very close to. Her Yortzeit is this coming Shabbos, 16 years? I think the 16th Yortzeit. Lilui Nishmas Shira Rachma Bas Rav Alter Nasan Natan, Yud Zayin Shvat is Shabbos. By the Polstein family, Lilui Nishmas Frida Sima Bas Yitzchak. And by Dr. Peter and Rosemary Warshawski, in heartfelt gratitude for all the love and support they received during Chaim Shlomo's recent illness. Shelev Refuah Shlema. The week is sponsored by the O'Brien, Spaeth, and Nagel families, Lilui Nishmas Moshe Yitzchak Ben Tzvi, it's Hershey Zaidi, and by Michael and Cindy Levy in honor of their grandson, Idan Eisenstock's bar mitzvah. Okay, we have so much to do. If you have the Sfarim, please open up to Daf Kuf Lamed. It's not stam that you're here today, Huda, because today what we're speaking about is Birkas Abanim. We're speaking about the bracha that, the truth is, let me ask you a question, and it's not, don't be ashamed if this is not your minhag. Is there anyone here that doesn't give brachas to their children or didn't get brachas on Friday night? Yeah.
I didn't get.
No, but I'm not saying because the family wasn't from. I mean, what? Right, Beshita. Yeah, nachon. And now, yesh, it's not stam. It's not like oh, they just didn't chalila chas v'shalom. There is a whole sheet, and I was learning the sugya be'in yesterday about why certain people do not give birkas abanim on Friday night. In fact, in Lubavitch they don't either. In fact, Toby and Dov's Ima reached out to me months ago. She was giving a shiur on this topic, whether a Kohen, when he blesses his son on Friday night, do you bless with the Pisuk Etzbaot, like you do Birkas Kohanim or not? Also a whole sugya b'fnei atzma. Very, very interesting. And if there's a father that's not a Kohen, can he give Birkas Ki'ilu, the shape of the fingers? That's for sure not. Whoever went to that, yeah. Anyway, it's a beautiful sugya. It's not so simple. So I wanted to look inside today. Rav Biderman has something short, sweet, and definitely something to take home with us. Mamash chazak. Birkas abanim ki azman grama livracha. And he starts off by mentioning that it's not by everybody. It's not by everybody that does this. בכמה קהילות נוהגים שאבוס בברכים וסבונים בליל שבת קודם הסעודה, בכדי שיחול עליהם הברכה והשפע היורדים בשעה זו, in order. Rav Biderman is saying there's a lot of shefa that's coming down at this moment at Friday night. A lot of energy is coming down. And what the father really wants to do, wants to bring down to the son, is that the shefa that's coming down should come down and reach the child, because it's so much that's happening in the air. And we want to make a kli. We want to make a kli for that shefa to come down and find its way. So therefore, in that time, that's when we do it. Now, if you go down to Aleph on the bottom, it's amazing how one of the drashas where we learn this from. Gadol kocha shel birkas ha'av lif'ol pu'ulasa letov. We see how strong the bracha of the father is to work good. Kmo shekasav asfarno al pasuk vayashkem lavan baboker vayinashek levana v'iznosa vayvarach esem. Lavan, going to Lavan, right? Kvar amrun the Gemara brachos al tehi birkas hedios kala beinach. How many times have you heard that, by the way, when someone wanted to give you a bracha, or when you wanted to ask someone for a bracha, and then you say al tehi birkas hedios kala beinach, meaning never underestimate the bracha of hediot.
Regular. Don't.
And well, that's the thing, is that it's a non-Kohen. No, because I used to say, Al tiyeh birkas Kohen hedios kala beinach. I don't know exactly how it would work. Omnam sipe birkas lavam livnosav lehorot she birkas ha'av. Okay, so why dafka are we learning out from Lavan that he gave brachas to his children? That's what we're going to learn from regarding birkas ha'abanim. He says, lehorot she, this is so deep, lehorot she birkas ha'av asher hi albanav bechol nafsho bli safek roi שתאכל יוסר בסגולת צלם אלוקים המברך. כאמרו בעבור תברכך נפשי. זאת אומרת, even a father like Lavan, when he's giving a bracha to his child, because in דבר כזה, that it doesn't matter how low you are, where you're holding, there's something there at the moment that a father wants to give a blessing to a child that can reconfigure the whole ganze Zach, because at that moment we become again like living b'tzelem enosh. Like that's the way it's supposed to be. a father giving a bracha to a child. I just got so emotional because you know my buddy Noam Banai, right? Meir Banai's son, my chevrusa. So it was such a deep thing that the one thing, he didn't grow up, the father Meir became about tshuva when the son was, I think, about 12 or much, because 11 or 12. But what's so special is that Birkas Abanim was always. That always happened. So the first Friday night that he was a yatom, he wrote a whole, after the Shiva, Noam wrote a whole post, and he basically said, we were kind of like brothers, even though it was a father-son relationship. Now, Abba, it's my turn. And he wrote a whole post, and he wrote, Yisimcha Elokim v'cherfayim chinashe, Yivrecha, blessing back his Abba and Shamayim. It was such a beautiful thing. So Tomer, something happens through this functioning of brachas, where it's like, this is what it should be. You understand? Like, this world is so meshugana. Everything is hafuch al hafuch al hafuch. No truths. All truths are, God knows what's happening to them. At least that moment of a father giving a bracha to a child, that's emes. That's how it should be. It's this reconfigured state of, at least at this moment, we know this is right. This is the Seder HaOlam. This is how it should be. So much so that even by someone like Lavan, brings out of a person like Lavan, even like something that should be, something right. So we'll go back up to Aleph.
It's like learning where the source of the tekiah is from. Wasn't it, Nebuchadnezzar's or Sancherib's mother that was crying and not the sound?
Sisra. Sisra. Nachon? בדרך הפשט נוסנו הפוסקים, טעם לדבר. כי בכל ימות השבוע שכיח מאוד שמתוך החיפוזון ישבור הבן כלים נועים, או יוזיק חפצי ערך, וביוסף בערב שבס קודש. I don't know about your children, but I'm sure this relates to everybody here. It seems to be like when there's a rush, when there's a haste, when there's a lot going on, kids may not be knocking things down, things being broken all over the place, especially Erev Shabbos Kodesh. And then when that happens, לפעמים עולה בלב ההורים מחשבת קפידה ותיינה עליהם. You ever get annoyed at your children Friday afternoon?
Never.
It happened once to me, like only one time. In May 2015, we had a weird Friday. No. Right? You ever not, when you ever have a situation, actually, I'm being serious now. You ever have a Friday afternoon that it's actually like mamish, like shalom, and then you start getting really worried that something's really off, right? It's like you go into Shabbos, it's like weird. There's like, it's like a symphony playing in your living room and no one's fighting and everything gets done on time. You have extra time to play a card game with your kids on Friday afternoon. It happens once, it does happen once in a blue moon, right? But then you're like, uh-oh, like hands up. Now it's not hands up. Something's going to happen. Usually it's not like this. Because what ends up happening is that when the Mishigas is on, you may have a kpeda on your child before. Now, did this ever happen to you? It's such a kpeda on your child on Friday afternoon. Then Shabbos comes in. You're dancing l'chadaydi. You come home. It's time to give brachas. And in your heart, you remember exactly what you were like about an hour and a half ago. And you stand there and you're thinking, I'm going to come like a big tzaddik now and come put my hands on my son's kepi. And so what he's going to say here is that that's actually why the bracha is instituted dafka for right then, because it could be that actually happened right before Shul, right before Shabbos came in. Lefichach, mevarchim osam belil Shabbos, shu es simcha, kedei lehamtik me'aleim es hakpedos ve'adinim. So Rav Biderman says that's actually dafka why that bracha is given right then and there. It's not saved for Shabbos morning, because maybe there is a din, there's been a din that's up there in the air, because right before Shabbos there was a lot of din in judgment. Kpeda, you know what kpeda means, like to be, what do you say kpeda in English? Huh? Kpeda means like you have a kpeda on him, you have a tain on him. Claim. You have something. So Chazal says so somehow, and it's interesting, how this minhag originated. It's not exactly originated as a bracha. It was first originated as when a father gives his hand to his son. Sfardim are makpid on this, not all but many, that the son kisses the father's hand. That's where it started, and then it turned into actually being a bracha. But it started. I learned this first time I saw Abraham Kopit, his father. Remember when he would get an aliyah? When Pesach, Kopit would be in shul, down with us, he'd get an aliyah, So right away, bidyuk. So Abraham or David Zayt, the son-in-law, Simi.
The best is I remember that also. Each one
You remember that?
saw that. Was so moved.
So he
goes
ran-
up, put his head down. He goes, no.
right. It's just for yeah. He thought I remember that. But it's such a regime on me that like to go like that right away after your father got an aliyah. Anyway, it originated. One of the svarim I saw said really the bracha of Friday night originated by kids, the father putting their hand on the child's kapi, and the kid then kissing the father's hand. Then it became into a bracha. Basically, in either way you look at it, it's a zman of saying what was. What's now is now. And now is an Eis Ratzon. Now Shabbos has begun. And if we're holding that Shabbos is all about the level of Kol Melachtecha Asuya. It's all done. It's all taken care of. What was, mamish was. Don't schlep Friday afternoon into Friday night. Don't schlep Friday afternoon into Friday night. It's a different Indian now. Omnam Hayayvetz. You know, the Yavitz was Rabbi Yosef Yavitz. Rabbi Yosef Yavitz was a gadol. He was in the time of the Inquisition. He was time of the Inquisition. He was from Gerus Farad. Then he went up and he was a rav in Napoli, in Italy, and a bunch of different places. And we have the Siddur of the Yavitz. He writes like this: Mevayer beyeser se'es shegadol hashefa hanishpa b'leil Shabbos. There's such a shefa coming down Friday night. ואילו הילדים הקטנים אין בכוחם לפשוט ידיהם ולזכוס מן השפע. Well, how much could a child be connected and be in tune with what's really happening Friday night? ולכן מברכים אותם האבות כדי להמשיך עליהם ברכות השפע. So the father is giving brachas so that what's actually coming down can reach the children. So the parents are basically a tzinor for all the love and light and hitchadshut abriya that's happening. So that's the father's the conduit, right? But Rav Biderman doesn't stop there. He says, what you think is just about the children that don't have the kelim to receive the shefa of what's coming down Friday night? Ve'efshar l'hosifu lomar, this is Rav Biderman 101, shebeyameinu kulanu domim lektanim. We're all little kinderlach that don't really have the kelim to receive what's actually happening. שבימינו כולנו דומים לקטנים שאינם יכולים לקבל השפע, לכן צריך להתפלל להשם מעומק הלב בבקשה ותחינה, sab'einu mituvecha. You know, when we get a bracha Friday night, when we daven the word sab'einu mituvecha. Now we say that, you all know this very clear, it shows up in the prayer books, it's in the benedictions. Sab'einu mituvecha, what do those words mean? We should stop for a second. Satiate me with your goodness. Sab'einu mituvecha. You know, in Tanya, everyone knows the beginning of the Tanya is Tanya, what's the words? Mashbi'in also tihi tzadik v'al tihi rasha. But all the Baalei Mefarshim that are trying to take Tanya even deeper, which I don't even know how that's possible, because Tanya itself it's a yam of Ein Sof, say al tikri mashbi'in also, ela masbi'in also. Tihi tzadik v'al tihi rasha. There's a sova to really satiate yourself. That's really what we have to. We're not looking for like nice, moments of feeling good. We want sova. We want to be satiated. Sab'einu mituvecha. She'avinu avarachaman habore yisbarach shmo hu yivarech birkas abanim levanav chavivav. Please Hashem, the only way that we could be really satiated is if while we're giving our children brachas on Friday night, hamevarech misbarech, that we should become blessed as well. So this is a very strong kavanah for those of us that are not at our parents' Shabbos tables. And you know what? It's a kavanah also for those that aren't receiving birkas abanim from their parents Friday night, because their fathers are already in olamos elyonim. When you say sab'einu mituvecha, the kavanah should be based on this, that when I do end up giving a bracha to my child later in this evening, please Rabbana Shleim, hamevarech yisbarach. Because I need to understand. It's as if just my child needs it to understand. I need to understand deeper what's going on here. I need to receive it deeper as well. That's one of the deeper kavanahs for sab'einu mituvecha. Yeah.
We have a shir on the depths and the actual meaning of Birkat Kohanim.
Birkat Abanim.
What?
Birkat Abanim. It's not the same because the kavanas of Birkas of Kohanim is different than Birkas Abanim.
Seven. Birkat Banim.
Yeah.
It's the same.
The same lashon, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, one time I was in Tekoa for Shabbos years ago, and I went over to Rav Fruman's house for Shalosh Shudas. And the first thing Rav Fruman did when he saw me, he bowed, he like kneeled before me and said, Bilkas Kohen. I was like, okay. So I said, so right away I said, Yisimcha, I was caught off guard. I said, Yisimcha Lakim Chaim Menashe. I said the bracha, right? And then he looks at me, he's like, Zaya Chamud, Achshav Birkat Kohen. I mean, because I did Birkas Abanim. I'm like, well, oh, Vaydaber Hashem Moshe Leimar Daber Al Merbanav Leimar Kosev. And then he's like, okay, that's it. So it was two. I said the same bracha. I said the same exact bracha back to back. But he was, the kavanah for him was like the first one is Birkas Abanim.
So there, it's a form of completeness.
Yeah.
You know, you're satiated.
Yeah.
Not just. But when you're. I say that's related to. You know, I heard this idea of why we're not saying the beginning before it's in, right? Shabbos is so complete, even like Mashiach gets put out of our head for a bit. Like.
That's why one of the dinim they say is that Mashiach can't come on Shabbos. So someone said, let him come on Shabbos and then explain to us how it could work also, as long as he comes. Because we're not fully severe. Yeah.
When you were not here, well, maybe about a month ago, and David Jerome gave shir in your stead, he taught a teaching, Chabad teaching, I can't remember which, and it was all about the, thank you, Birkas Kohanim, Kavanot of...
All right, to give a share on Arna Kohen, Nire, Nachon. Okay, Hine, Mekor Bracha Zo. So where's the bracha from? This will begin to answer your shayla, Yosef, or your bakasha. Hine, Mekor Bracha Zo, hu Birkas Yaakov li Yosef, kedichsiv becho yivarach Yisrael lemor, yisimcha Elokim, ke'Efraim v'chi Menashe. B'tzorech levar hamala hayisera be'Efraim u'Menashe, שעל כן יסברכו בהם דייקה, ישמחה אלוקים, חיים מנשה, ולא כשאר השבטים הקדושים. We always wondered, how come the Rebbeinu Shalom doesn't bless me and say, ישמחה אלוקים כיוסף ובנימין? If we think about it like that the beautiful love affair that took place between Yosef and Binyamin, I wouldn't necessarily say, ישמחה אלוקים כיוסף ויהודה, or ישמחה אלוקים כלוי וגד. It's two names I wouldn't really put together. But obviously, Ephraim v'chi Menashe has become the hallmark. This is how the brachas work. This is how the brachas have been happening from the time we started giving brachas because of what's brought down in Parshas Vayechi. And we have to understand this. Umevar harav hakadosh b'nei Yisachar eschis yagen aleinu. Does anyone here ever get into the b'nei Yisachar? It's not the easiest sefer. But the Bnei Yisachar is Reb Tzvi HaMelech of Dinov, his yahrzeit was Chai Tevis, and I'm just thinking about him because last Shabbos in Chicago I met this Yid, he's translating the Bnei Yisachar. He finished the first volume, and now he's doing volume 2. I shall. Rabbi Kalman Warsh. Amazing. Amazing. What a Talmud Chacham this guy. Okay, Mevar Rav HaKadosh HaBnei Yisachar Eschus Yagen Aleinu. Shemayla miyuchedes matzinu gabe Ephraim and Menashe. What stands out by Ephraim and Menashe? Sheyaakov Avinu hemid lefanav shnei achim. So Yaakov Avinu puts before himself two brothers. Vehera le'ein kol. Shu machshi besakotan yeserelagodo. He showed everybody, right? He showed everybody that the younger one is greater than the older one. Ve'ine agodo, but the point was, ine agodo eino mekane bekatan. But the older one is not jealous of the younger one. Velo klum uleidach hakatan eino mizga al agodo. And the younger one has no gaiva over the older one, due to what his grandfather decided to do. Remember, one year we said a Torah like this, like, why did can you imagine the soundtrack in the room, and Yaakov did that to Ephraim and Menashe? Yosef, after all the years of all the jealousy and the brother, and he sees his father's doing this, and he's like, no, not again. Like, tension, like, Yitzchak Yishmael, Yaakov Esav, Bichlal, Yosef, Yehud, brothers. And Yaakov is saying to him, no. Here's the tikkun. Look what's going to be with this. Rav Biderman saying, there's no gaiva mitzad the kid that's younger, that's being brought up, and there's no kina mitzad the older one that was ki'ilu demoted.
So
This
why
is the
not- why
tikkun.
not say, Simcha Elokim Moshe V'Aaron? Based on that mentality, it's the same thing. The younger one had no gaiva over the older one. The older one was happy for the
Because two reasons. This definitely comes first. And second of all, we don't find that Amram blessed Moshe and Aaron. If we want to find them according to the Torah, we want to see where it happened. We actually see that Yaakov did this to Ephraim and Menashe.
I think you can tie in the two pieces, because I don't know about anybody else here, but for me, my biggest challenge is not me getting it, is my kids fighting with each other on Erev Shabbos or whatever. So you come into Shabbos and like, that's why you give that bracha, and when it's calm or whatever, you try.
Nachon.
That ties into this, the beginning piece.
Nachon. Nachon. Achen, al kegon elu nemar b'choy yivarach Yisrael, liyos ke'Ephraim mechimenashe be'achdus gmura, lelo gaiva velo kina. So even though, I don't know what it is like in your home, the order by us is definitely oldest to youngest. That's how most people do it. But the pnimius of it should mean, like, honestly, if we were really like medakdek the way that ke'Ephraim mechimenashe, Chava Geula, who's 6 months old, should get a bracha before Nachman, then work backwards just to make sure, to show the tikkun of that there's no gaiva. But the point really is, these inyanim, is that amongst the children, there should only be happiness for each other and no kina at all. On what, because I mean, honestly, during the week, maybe it could be that a child, this happens a lot. Abba, you love her so much more. She's your favorite kid. Anyone ever hear that? We all know he's your favorite. She's your favorite, right? I completely come out of that on Friday night, like when I'm blessing, with the kavanas that there's something in the air that completely takes me out of that. Umevar od shelemayla zo sigiu alidei emulsam hayisana v'zeh leshona. So the Bnei Yisachar says, now they reached such high this level of being able to not be jealous and to be happy for the other person and not be gaivadik, really came from a very tremendously exalted level of emunah that these boys had. Now we know a lot about Ephraim and Menashe from Midrashim, not so much from the Pshat and the Psukim, but from the Midrashim we see that Ephraim and Menashe played a very big role in the kingdom of Egypt. Tremendous, actually. But nonetheless, one of the greatest things about them is that they never got swallowed up in Egyptian culture. And it's obviously due credit to Yosef Atzadik, the way he ran his household, but also to them, the way that they were as well. They mamish held up strong. Hina yadua kol Torah klula b'aseret sadibra. So why am I so excited now? Because it's happening again. Because now he's going to Parshas Yisro. So what do we know? He says, the whole Torah is included in Aseret Sadibros. V'aseret Sadibros klulim b'dibur ha'achron, and all 10 dibros are really all included in the last one, which is lo sachmod, lo tachmod. Don't covet.
We just learned this with Rav Goldhirsch.
V'hainu lehitratzot b'gzeirotav yitbarach, asher mana mimeno hatov v'hu hanitan l'chavero. This is so deep, meaning Hashem gave you something and Hashem gave your friend something. You want to know if you believe in God, basically? You want to know if you mamish believe in Hashem? Do you think God made a mistake by giving something to someone else that you want? That's what it all boils down to. Do you think the Ribbon Shalom made a mistake? Because we don't want to admit it, but that actually is what jealousy is. Jealousy is you think the Ribbon Shalom made a mistake. Rav Shlomo said that. ולחשוב כי הוא יתברך, הוא לבדו היודע מהו הטוב והגרס הראוי לכל אדם ולא ייכנס חברו. The greatest level of emunah is that when you see that someone has something that kivyochol, a younger version of you, would covet. Now obviously, money is always going to be one of the first things. And of course, a woman. This is just the world we live in. And you say, in your heart, a younger version of you would be like, I cannot believe she's with him. And I can't believe that this manuvo has all this money. if I had all this money, right? Or if I had her, right? All these things. You're basically, lo sachmod is, he says, the whole Torah kula. Because what you're really saying at that moment is, if I'm able to be like, this is what Hashem wanted. This is Pashut, this is what Hashem wanted. V'lo yikanes chavero. You know what's living within you? Yisimcha Elokim k'Ephraim v'Chim Menashe. Then that Birkas Habanim is living in you, and that's why it's a very important zach. You don't want your children to get stuck in that jealousy trip. It's less here. It's honestly less in Eretz Yisrael. We're kind of preoccupied with a bunch of other things. You see this a lot in Chutz La'aretz. It's a lot. It's much bigger there. Not that it doesn't exist here, but it's much bigger there. You notice who has what. Yeah, and this Lo Sachmod, the whole Torah, all of the Sefer Dibros is in this last Dibra. So back in say, Kihu Yisbarach again, the bold type in Kihu V'lachshov Kihu Yisbarach Hu Levado Hayodea Ma'u Atov V'Agem. The Ribono Shloim knows why, who should get what. V'lo yikanes chavero v'hu kasher yashpia Hashem Yisbarach Toiva la'adam lo yivakesh b'zeh taiva v'kovod v'yavo yizgos el chaver b'zeh taiva. When you're basically in the presence of Horadat Shefa, the Ribono Shloim, when He's pouring it down to you, and He's pouring down goodness to you, one of the tefillas should be Ribono Shloim, שזה לא יוציא את העיניים למישהו אחר. I don't know how to say that in English, לא יוציא את העיניים. Because you don't say, it shouldn't take out your eyes, right? לא יוציא את העיניים, meaning the good that's happening to me may please God, Ribono Shloim. It should do nothing to someone else on that level. To be able to really live in a society that everyone is happy, that whoever has what they have, we're happy for them.
It's interesting because it's the opposite of feeling bad for someone. Because they say it's very easy to feel bad for someone because you're like, I don't want to be in that situation. Of course I'm going to be empathetic. But to feel good for someone...
Yeah, it's afuch. It's a tikkun maybe for it, yeah? Very good. רק אדרבה ייכנע לפני בורו ויחשוב כי הוא מצד החסד מבורו עליו. על כן בירכם בך יברך ישראל כאפרים בלי גאות וכמנשה מבלי קינה על טובas חברו. That's why, like, this is embedded within the bracha that we give our children. Chaver, this is very deep stuff. This is deep kavanas to go out and bless your children tonight. You don't want them growing up in a world that Mimela is such a competitive world, but in their hearts should be like Ephraim and Menashe. Sincere joy and happiness when something good happens to someone. No gaiva when something good happens to them. And literally living in a state of lo tachmod. Like literally living in that state. That's a talk about sova, sab'einu mituvecha. It's gewalt. V'hainu, shebe'emunaso yakir shetovas chavero eineno al cheshbono klal. This is so chazak. Saying, you know what the greatest reality is? Don't think that because someone else got a lot, it's coming off of your tab. It's not like there's only so much Hashem could do, but He gave so much to him already. Although I'll tell you, I do feel like that about Rav Shlomo Nigunim. I'll tell you why. Every time I find another nigun of his, I'm always like, I can't believe, like he got that one too. Meaning, he got that one too. And like he didn't leave us that much. You should know, like the more, you know. But you should know how many times a nigun starts coming down, and right away I'm like, no, he got that one too. Yeah, I got to share with you a crazy story. I hope he's not watching, and if he is, I hope he machals me. It's a beautiful years ago, somewhere in Eretz Yisrael. Came up to me. I was doing a Shabbaton in his shul. I'm not going to say where. He comes up to me for Shabbos morning, and he says, "Listen, I wrote a nigun 2 weeks ago, and I think it's the highest nigun in the world." So I say, "What?" He says, it goes like this. Then he goes, Now, okay, you should know, this is before this nigun became popular. There's only one problem, right? This nigun, if any of you know, Moti Shur, Rabbi Mickey Moshe Shur's son, who's now in Florida. Mickey Moshe from the Asper Yeshiva band, Ivdu et Hashem v'simcha, v'sameach tesamach. He wrote this nigun when his son Mordechai was born in the 80s. And it goes like this, Ish Yehudi haya b'shushana bira, Ish Yehudi haya b'shushana bira. Those are the original words. Yehuda Green took it and kind of like revamped it about 10, 12 years ago. But this is like a 35-year-old nigun. So when he sang it to me, and I saw how much chiyas he had, right? I couldn't tell him that you probably heard like some kind of musical notation of this. It stuck in you, and then you right. And I was so like I was like, what do I do? What do I do? And I didn't say anything. I'm like, wow, it's good, right? 2 years later, he sees me. Then Yehuda Green put it out, right? Yehuda Green didn't learn it from this guy, right? He knows it from Mickey Moshe Shur. So this Yid sees me at a simcha, and he said to me, how come you didn't tell me? And I said, Mom, I'm so sorry. I saw how much chiyus you had. I didn't have. I didn't have the heart. I couldn't do it. But that happens a lot with I felt so bad. No, but then you should know. I had a tikkun for this. Because someone else came up to me a few years later and said he has a good nigun. And it remotely sounded like one of my brother's nigunim. And I nipped it right away. I said, no, this is not your nigun, my brother. This is my physical brother's nigun. This is not. Like I did a tikkun for it afterwards, next time. First guy, I felt so bad. But here, what he's to tie this all back to here, sorry for that. When something good happens to someone else, it's not on your cheshbon. Can you believe that? When good things happen to other people, it's not on your cheshbon. That's not how the Ribono Shel Olam works. It doesn't work like that.
Got some good.
Otherwise, you're not believing it.
Huh?
According to that teaching, you got some great nigunim coming. Original nigunim.
Why?
Rav Shlomo couldn't have taken them all.
Not on cheshbon. Yeah. Meaning not on cheshbon, nachon. Meaning it's an excuse to say, oh, he got all the good ones. It's an excuse, yeah. Le'idach, kol kinyano sheyesh lo yoser al chavero en al ela al pi Hashem. Whatever you have, whatever he has, al pi Hashem yachnu, al pi Hashem yisu. The bottom, we're ending with this. Ba'ofen acher biru ba'alei amusar. Shebechol makom anu motzim yeridas adoros. We always talk about, never generations are going down. Yeridas adoros. V'kan matzinu lehefech. And now we see the other way. Kmo shenemar, Ephraim u'Menashe kereuven v'chshimon yiuli. Shenish'aru b'kedushas dor avihem al kegondam mizbarachim b'nafsham kol b'nei Yisrael. What does it say about Ephraim and Menashe? What does Yaakov Avinu say about his grandsons? Aliyah Sadoros, that it's like my two sons, Reuven and Shimon. And that's also an inyan that we're doing by the children, is that we're not trying to connect them to be like, Nebuch, you're further and further away from the source. But Ephraim and Menashe, Aliyah Sadoros, Reuven and Shimon, Yuli, yeah.
We were told about a year ago by somebody, it doesn't matter who, that to say the kid's name in Hebrew, the full name for the bracha. Have you ever seen such a minhag?
I do that.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Is it brought down in there?
It's all minhagim anyway. Meaning all these things are minhagim anyway. So.
Full Hebrew, middle names.
Yeah.
I don't know who my wife got. She started about a year ago, also giving bracha.
Sorry.
My wife started giving bracha.
Beautiful.
Also. Anyone do that? Does anyone
I've seen it. I've seen it. Yeah.
Together.
I've seen it. I think it's beautiful.
If Miriam does that, it's for sure.
All the kids in the neighborhood should line up to get the brachas.
And then they barely come to me after.
Right. Oh, it's before you? She gets before you.
That's why I do the whole cup thing.
Don't get jealous. Don't get jealous.
I'll tell you afterwards. Anyway, Chevra, it should be tonight a real Friday night. It should just be Birkas Abanim. Listen, Be'ezra Hashem, Monday we're starting to learn Purim. Because I can't wait. By Breslov, they say, Shloshim Yom Kodem Purim, you already start screaming, Hatzilein, Yina Miklipa Saman Amalek, V'zakeni L'Kedushas Mordechai Ve'Esther. We're starting learning Purim Monday morning. I'm traveling again the second half of the week, but at least we're going to start strong. Purim Monday morning, okay? Shkoyach, everyone.